Greetings, friends, and welcome to another build. We are continuing on from my previous build, which was this ever so lovely Dynamite box. But the problem with the Dynamite box is you need the Plunger, which was the old device that put the electrical current through that detonated the stuff, to make a whole package. So that's what we're working on today. So the first thing you're going to need is a 1x6 board. I used a fence board, which is 6 feet, which gave me all of the pieces I need to build this thing. And everything is built to the width of 5.5 inches, so you don't have to, go and cut the stuff down lengthwise to get this board to where you need it. You're going to need, hopefully you can see that, 2 at 5.5 inches, 2 at 10.5 inches, and 2 at 12 inches. Regardless, as always, there's a template file down below with all of this information in it if you need to reference it beyond looking it on the back of my hand. So now I'm going to get this all stapled together. We're going to talk about just some of the stuff we're going to have to do as we go to build this. Now, on some of these pieces that we're going to be doing, first of all, on the 5.5 inch piece, you want to be measuring 1.25 inches down from the edge and drilling a 3/4 inch hole. I've got my lovely bit I use for all of my wagon wheels, but any spade bit should be able to do this hole. And once you've got that done, this is going to be the top, so make sure you have it marked, especially if it blows out at the bottom like this. Then you're also going to need a 3/4 inch piece of dowel. And what this is going to be is that's going to fit through there, and it's going to be the plunger, which we're going to do a bit more work on after the box is built. You can drill this hole after, but it's best to do it now because it's nice and flat. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to assemble this thing. I'm going to be using some wood glue to put this together and a brad nailer. So you don't have to go there. You can just use standard nails. If you use standard nail or finishing nails, yeah, grab the wood glue. It'll probably make life a bit easier. Hey, gonna get assembling. Now, as you can see, it's all assembled. The hole is in the top. When you assemble it, make sure that these go to the inside of the 5.5s, because if you don't, when you go to put on your final block piece, you're going to have nothing but trouble. Now, inside of here, hopefully I can get the angle, you can see that there's second hole screwed. What I did is I cut a piece that's 4 inches. I'll probably make the plan reflect this. I cut this piece 4 inches, and to get that hole in the right place, I put it in, pushed it up to top here, and I used my drill while it was in place, like so. I pushed the hole through, and what it did is it put the hole exactly matched up to the one below. And then all I did is I moved it 5 inches up from the bottom, or 5.5 inches up from the bottom. And what this is going to do, this is going to create some friction, and it's also going to create a stop that is quite easy. So you'll insert your 3.25. When we're done here, we're going to be putting, well, pretty soon actually, we're going to be putting a drill hole through here, and it's going to be used for a pin or just dowel, just something to stop that. So when it comes up to here, that pin will stop it from going any higher. And then when you push down from the top, you're not going to wreck it, and when you could wax this rod to make it a bit smoother, but I like that friction right now. It's got a bit of especially when it's vertical, it's got a good pull and a good push. Anyways, now the next thing we're going to do is we're literally going to drill this rod. We're going to put a nail or a dowel through just to stop it from coming up past this point, and then we're going to put on our tops and bottoms. So I'll see you then. You're not going to see the inside of this again because at this point it will be done. But I will quickly record a spot just showing this pin. See you in a moment. A quick update because I screwed up royally. When you go and you drill your hole, make sure you do it to the open side, because if not, that turns out to be in the wrong spot. Anyways, do it to the open side, so when you're all done, or just spin this. All I have to do is spin this 90 degrees and it would have been fine. That was just a mistake on my behalf. Anyways, just make sure that this is to the open side. That was fun. Got our main stain down, which happens to be just a Puritan Pine semi-transparent. And this gets us our base to look pretty good. Now, if you want it to look new, you'll just go from here and Varathane away. But if you want it to look a bit aged, I'm going to be using some Provincial, what is this? Just Provincial, shown on red oak. It's Varathane Gel Stain. And I've talked about this stuff before. It works really well for creating a nice aged look. This brush is finished, but it works for what I need it for. So you're just gonna put it on very roughly in kind of the pattern that you think this thing would age in. Hopefully this camera's not shaking too much. There we go. Go through, make a right mess when you do it. There we go, up and down the edges. Then, once it's on, using just Kleenex, we're going to wipe the majority of it off. Just gently. Like, you don't want to put almost any weight at all onto the Kleenex itself. You want the weight of the cloth to do most of the work itself. Okay, go through, you can touch up any spots that you think could use a bit more, and you can see you end up with a really cool look and feel of an old box. So I'm going to go through, continue on, keep on recording, and do the rest. No microphone moment here. On the template, you're going to find this label here. It's 3 by 4.5 inches. You want to find some sort of thin stock. This is 1/8 inch like hardboard that I use for a whole bunch of things. I just took it using wood glue. I stuck it to it and then used a black pen to color the edges. So you end up with a really forecasting plate. And now I'm going to go grab some nails. I have actual copper nails I'm going to be using for this, but you can use whatever you can find and stick it on at about this level. Just eyeball it as best as you can. Stick it on. We're going to be actually covering this with Varathane before we're done. The whole thing gets Varathane, but I need to get this thing on here to begin with. Anyways, we're going to make the handle now. And what you want to do is you want to get, this is 1.25 inch rod. It actually needs to be 1.25 inch, and I got this for free, so I'm going to use it. 4 3/4 inch, you want to lop off a piece of this. Now, you can either drill it before or drill it after, but using the same bit, you want to go right in the middle of that 4.75 and drill down to the point where this, if you've got this point on yours, that it just pokes through the other side. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use another drill bit and drill from the top down very gently, just so the two connect each other. And once they've connected each other, then you have something to screw down into the main rod, so you can tie this to the actual base of the box, like here. We're going to be going on to here, and when you go down, you'll be drilling that hole that the handle will go into. And by the way, there's the finished label, all in place. It turned out pretty darn cool. All right, so once you've got your dowel all cut down, this is too long, you can either just round the edges and be done with it, or you can be a bit more adventurous and do what I did here. I took my spindle sander and sanded it down a little bit to give it a bit of a profile, which is kind of cool. And you can see there's the countersunk top, and there's the big hole at the bottom. Now, once you've got this, I spray painted mine black, and now I'm going to quickly go back onto the spindle sander and just age this up a bit for where it would get worn a bit, because I like the black, but it looks too new. So I'm going to go, look at that, it's still a bit wet. I'm going to get this sanded down a tiny bit, and then I'm going to get this. You're going to wood glue it here, and then screw it here, but you're not putting this on yet. We got some things to do on the box next. Okay, that's the handle. All right, labels on, nails are in. I love how that thing looks. Let's check that sucker out. Anyways, you'll notice that there's little screws in here now, and these are not actually screws. They are a clever ruse. This part you may have to improvise a little bit and do your own thing, or actually use real brass screws. But brass screws are expensive, especially these flat-headed ones that go like this. So I was clever. I used a countersink bit to drill a hole, and then using my 3D printer, I printed these lovely little plugs that what you do is you just finish it off. I'm hoping I do this in one shot because there you go, and then you just push it in, and just like that, you have those metal screws, and it looks real. This one took a bit of a beating because it was tight before I drilled it deep enough. Anyways, now I'm going to be having this as a plan down below for sale. It'll be really cheap for these pieces. You just have to get them 3D printed, and if there's a demand, I'll actually sell all these pieces as 3D printed items. I haven't decided yet. Trying to get all that 3D printing stuff sorted out is really hard. Regardless, the plan will come with this piece here, which you can make out of the same material that you did this out of. You just cut this out. I'll put a template so you can build that out of the wood, because this one is pretty important. And this just pretty much is a collar that goes down, that runs it into the base. Now these are really cool. They're a little bit, far-fetched, and I should have sanded that a bit more. But I like the way it looks with a bit of aging on it. So sue me. And then these now go back here. Now, when you get it, or if you use my plan, you'll see those holes that go right through. Those are specifically to be lined up with the back. You can put your knobs however you want, like which way, because you can spin and you can get the different direction. And those are for wires to go through if you want to wire this thing up to make it look like it's actually going to be running. And that's what those are for, so if you wonder what those holes are for. Anyways, so it's starting to come together now. I put all of those little pins in the front, and you can see that I was drilling and sticking to my varnish. And man, I have struggled with this wood. You see right there? That is sap coming out of the wood, and it has caused me, I remember now why, that this specific piece of wood got left in my back shed all winter. I brought it inside and it's just pouring sap everywhere. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, you can see the rest of the pins are in. It looks fantastic. I'm going to now get this thing all varathaned up with, I call it varathane, but it's the polyurethane coating, the acrylic stuff. I'll put a picture up down here so you can see exactly what I'm working with. I'm going to go put a couple coats on everything, including this, but avoid this shaft here because you already are going to find that is pretty tight as is. And anyways, I'll see you in a bit. All right, we are down to the final steps. This leather belt here is just an old leather belt that shrunk over time. I don't know how that happened. And I cut it up, and using just brass tacks, I put it in to hold into place to give this thing a nice little carrying handle. The rest of it is all just, polished on up with the varathane. It looks really good. I'm including these files for free on the template down below. They're 3D printer files. If you don't have access to a 3D printer, just go buy real brass screws. And for these, when you go build it, drill the hole from the bottom and put the bolt up to the top. You might end up with, the actual looking bolt, but it'll be real. I just like the way the 3D printed one looks. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody. This has been a fun little project. And I enjoy all these things that I built, getting a bit of my shadows there. And I just love how this whole thing comes together and has that authentic look. Like with the Dynamite box. It's pretty cool. It's been a riot, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching my videos and subscribing and liking. You guys don't know how much it means to me. A very big thank you to my patrons who throw me a little bit each month to help me with all of this work. And guys, it is helping. I'm buying stuff that I would normally not touch because, it's bad money. It's I can really go and do these things with your help, and it means everything to me. Anyways, I will see you on the next one, and I think we're going to be doing some more Wild West stuff. My list of stuff is going up, and I'm going to have some fun with it because it's a theme that I don't do a lot into. Anyways, have a good one all.